Okay, so today's anatomy lesson is all about the glutes. So what I love about when we go to exercise class, people constantly refer to the glutes, right? So we know, you probably know based on that word is plural. There's more than one of them. But we sometimes don't isolate the glute muscles when we're teaching about them. We just say, oh, you're working your glutes here, right? So let me just kind of go over the 3 different glute muscles that you have and what they do inside your body. So you have the gluteus maximus, which is the big one, the gluteus medius, and the gluteus minimus. So the gluteus maximus is the big one on the back, starts on your sacrum and your tailbone, and it kind of fans out in the back of your pelvis and goes, the fibers run sort of on a diagonal, and it connects to this other muscle called the tensor fasciae latae, which we'll talk about another time, and a little bit of connective tissue. So that's its connection point, basically down by the side of the hip and the side of the leg. And the big gluteus maximus, so what it primarily does is supports and stabilizes you in a standing position. So it's a great protector of the spine. It extends the legs back behind you. And then it also externally rotates the leg bone. So that's when the legs, like if you see that rotation out, the glutes play a role. The gluteus maximus plays a role in that. And then it, again, it takes the leg behind you. And when your legs are fixed, it's going to help you extend the pelvis from a folded position and create that stabilized structure in the spine. So that's a really important thing for you to know, because a lot of times when we're talking about spinal stability, we really only focus on the core, but it's very important to also focus on the glutes, okay? So just so you know, they're not just there to look cute, they actually provide a lot of stability and function in your body. So the gluteus minimus and medius kind of work together. So they start on the iliac fossa, which is really, fossa is another word for like a groove, on the iliac crest, which remember from a couple weeks ago is the top portion of the pelvis bone. And both of those muscles start there. And then they go down and they insert on the trochanter of the thigh bone, which is another word for like a knobby little portion on the thigh bone, right? So just think of it as starting on the pelvis, inserting on the thigh. Now, this is very important. Yeah, the gluteus minimus and medius are extremely important for stabilizing your legs. So they play a huge role in balance, and they play a huge role when you're just walking, right? When you're transferring weight from one leg to the other, you want those side glutes to come in and provide that stability so that you're standing on top of your leg, right? So a lot of hip problems that people end up having as they age comes from compression in the hip joint, right? So that tends to happen when you don't have enough stability and strength work on these side glute muscles that will really help you provide that supportive way of going up and over your leg. It's kind of an interesting concept. I don't know if you can understand it when I'm just saying it, but I'll try to show it in a video in a few days. But you really want to find that balance and that stability on top of both of your legs. Also, these are really good to work to help you create more balance and strength in your balanced posture. So if you ever find yourself having to stand on one leg, these side glutes really come in to support you. They also do work on rotation, and then they will lift the leg or abduct the leg, meaning taking it away from the midline of the body. So they do that as well. Okay, so that's the anatomy for you of the 3 glute muscles. So you can kind of take that information now and just know how these 3 muscles piece together into your body. And remember, because they all act on the legs and they act on the pelvis, little side note with the minimus and medius, they also do create rotations and tilts in the pelvis, especially from side to side. That's another area where the compression comes in. If you don't know anatomy, if you are an anatomy buff, you will understand what it means to laterally rotate the pelvis. If you're not, that's sometimes, that for me, that was one of the hardest things to wrap my head around. It took me a long time to really understand the really subtle, nuanced movements of the pelvis. So it's not that if you're learning about the glutes and you're trying to learn how they can protect you and help you, that's not the most important part to know. It's more important just to understand that movement of the pelvis can be protected and stabilized with the glutes, okay? All right, so there you have it. The anatomy of all the glutes, how they help you, and why you should work them more.